Good afternoon. Scott Campbell, continuing my series of a Christian pastor in Quebec, French Quebec specifically. And today what I'd like to talk about is what I brought up in the last video when French Quebecers were asking me, well, what are the similarities, what are the differences between what you believe and who you are versus, obviously, the traditional Church of Quebec, the Roman Catholic Church. Priests aren't married, and this went on, and that went on. How are you different? And it was over time that I began to understand the kind of the depth of that question, understand the need for some basic education. Often I would just take a step back and say, often you say to me, French Quebecer, that you don't want to change religion, but let me say to you that the Christian movement in the world is quite large. It includes about 2 billion people, first of all, who call themselves Christian. A large portion is the Roman Catholic Church, 1.2 billion adherents worldwide, and obviously that's what's been known among the French in Quebec. Then there are the Orthodox Christians who started in, the late, about 1076 when there was a division. And they're Greek Orthodox, Russian Orthodox, Syrian Orthodox, etc. There might be 250, 300 million adherents. And then, of course, there's the whole movement that came out of the Reformation. This was news to many Roman Catholic French people in Quebec that in fact the Reformation came because the Roman Catholic Church refused to respond to people who were on the inside, Martin Luther, or Menno Simons, or John Calvin, or Zwingli, whoever, but many people who were on the inside asking for reform and desiring reform. They had no plan or desire whatsoever to leave the existing church, unless, of course, the church wasn't going to change. And these reformers were calling the church back to a simpler, more basic Christianity based on the teachings of Christ, and that resembled much more the New Testament than what they saw with the Vatican and indulgences, purgatory, etc. And so part of my job was to help Quebecers see changing religion means going from Christian to Buddhist or Christian to Hinduism, whereas you have the right and the responsibility to look at what you believe and then to choose where you need to place yourself within your beliefs. You're responsible before God for that. And so that's what I talked about, and I said to them, we could not stay. We reformers, we of the Protestant Church could not stay within the Roman Catholic hierarchy where the Pope and the cardinals, etc., had refused to reform anything. And so we did. They pushed us out. They excommunicated our leaders, and those people then developed in each country Christian churches based primarily on, as much as possible, what the Bible teaches, not what the Pope taught, not what councils taught, but as much as they could on what the New Testament especially teaches. And so obviously my beliefs as an evangelical Christian, I would say to the French Roman Catholic, I believe in the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit the same way you do. We are not Jehovah's Witnesses. We are not Mormons. We are Christian. And Jesus Christ is the center. His life, death, resurrection, his return, all of these are fundamental. And then living out, allowing him to live out in and through us, this is fundamental. And we've moved away, I try to tell them, we moved away from quite a bit of the dogma and the rituals and tried to make it much more relational. Tried to respond to God's love and his forgiveness in a very relational way. So this was how I would approach it, and then I would try to define for the people, or try to help explain for them all the different branches, saying the branches, the Baptists, the Pentecostals, the Presbyterians, all these things they see in the United States when they go south, and they see some in Canada. They see the Anglican Church, the United Church, occasionally a Presbyterian church, a Baptist church. So they're learning these things, and I'm just telling them, guys, all these churches have very, very similar fundamental beliefs. But historically, for historical reasons, they've developed in different countries, in different times, different languages, and but they're cousins, they're brothers and sisters. So that's where I would go with that, and trying to say to them, you have to make a choice. Where will you seek your guidance? Evangelical Christians will seek their guidance as directly as possible from Jesus Christ, his life, his teachings, the guidance of his Spirit. Yes, we have leaders, but there's no infallible leader. We don't generally we don't generally go that way. We do have some creeds or some affirmations of faith that we say we believe in, but it's all based on the Bible, versus what the Roman Catholic Church did over the centuries. They were basing more and more on tradition, decisions of the Pope, and decisions of councils. So that's how I've handled relating to the average French Quebecer, and encouraging them, of course, to probably, for the very first time, take the New Testament, especially the four Gospels, and I've encouraged them to read and to pray and to ask God, speak to my heart about what you desire me to believe as they're reading through the life of Christ. So I've been trying to call them to Christ and to the Scriptures, as opposed to, obviously, calling them to some particular church or branch of Christianity. So, thank you.